Hey, we're the podcast your mother warned you about. That's right. It is This Show is a JK with your friends Jason Tudor and Keith Pinnell. We are back on a Tuesday, July 7th.
7th.
I always mean to look at the date, but I never do.
Right.
Tuesday, July 7th, recording for you. This is the Tuesday audio-only show. That means coming up later we'll have the 9 quiz, and we'll tell you what this week's bracket is. But to get started, as we always do, let's do sponsors first. Our first sponsor is my book, 7 from the System. It's on Amazon.com. $6.99 for the paperback, $4.99 for the Kindle. Speculative fiction, science fiction, 7 stories. You will love them. About 150 pages. A quick read, a nice airline read. Get that one for yourself. Our second sponsor is AaronCusterer.com. Aaron just has a new single out called Breathless. He released that about 2 weeks ago. It's available on all the major streaming platforms. Tell you what, it is a fantastic song. I hope you will take time to listen to it. It is it's great. And we need to support Aaron. He is a great dude, a fantastic musician, and I want him to succeed in every possible way that he can. Who's the third sponsor? I forgot. Oh, well. We'll press on.
Another book, a comic.
Oh, Long John.
Yeah.
God, sorry, Dan.
You're welcome.
The third sponsor is Long John Comic at newlongjohn.com. You can pick up the new Long John comic. It's a fantastic Western as told by my friend D. Bethel. He used to work on a series called Eben 07 that I was hugely a fan of, and he moved on to do his own book when Eben Burgoon moved on to do his thing. And so he has written this wonderful book called Long John. They're on volume 4 right now, and you can pick that up at newlongjohncomic.com. Don't forget that, and get as many copies as you can. All right, now we can start. What's new?
Yes, I'm on leave, and this happened so quickly. Walked into work Monday. Our coworker came back from a week's leave.
Right.
We have she leaves in 2 weeks. The garrison commander changes command in 2 weeks. You're going on leave next week. When the hell am I going to take leave?
When is Mom and Dad going to settle things down for us?
Wow. And so I just went to the boss and said, hey, boss, do you mind if I take the rest of the week off?
And our coworker, no!
Our coworker's still here, and he said, yeah.
Fuck you, get back in your hole.
No, he said, get out. Okay,
That is what he said, actually.
That is. So today was golf day, first day of leave.
Without me.
I shot the best score since the other best score since I've been in Germany. I shot a 94. To real golfers, they're laughing right now. But
what's a real golfer at Ramstein Golf Course? I get people with good handicaps, but there are no PGA pros out there. You're all right.
Yeah, well, I'd like to shoot in the 80s. I've only done that 3 times in my life.
Yeah, I've done it twice, 86 and an 84. I did one at Lodges Field. And the other one, I think I did at Tyndall Air Force Base. So
nice.
I've got. I was just having a good day. I can't. Sometimes you get the putting right. Sometimes you get the driving right. Sometimes you get the in between right. Everything was going right those 2 days. I recall that very specifically. I was driving the shit out of the ball in Lodges, but it has a pretty good wind too, so that doesn't hurt.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you put your ass into it, you hit the ball a long ways.
Yeah, I do. I've always had to. I always have as well. So that's so you played all 18.
I played all 18.
Good weather all day.
Great weather. I thought it might be a little bit chilly for me, but it can be 78 and be with a wind and be chilly to me.
Right.
No, I went out there. It was great. I lamented not wearing shorts. I played the first 9 in about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Just cruised.
How many people were you with?
Me.
Oh, okay. Well, that must be nice. We never get to go out as a duo on Sundays.
No.
Ever.
So just take tomorrow afternoon off.
Yeah, right. I wish I could. I've got a million things I have to do now.
And then traffic stopped me, and I played with a couple of guys the last 7 holes. And nice guys, teachers, or a retired teacher and a teacher.
Yeah.
And so ended up with a 94 with an asterisk because, as I always say...
with the asterisk.
What's that?
You again with the asterisk.
Yeah, well...
You've got more asterisks than 1990s Major League Baseball.
You're absolutely right. You're me and Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. But again, they don't put rakes at the sand traps.
No, because they don't want you to catch COVID on the rakes.
No, they don't want us playing out of the sand. That's what it is.
On the flagpole.
No. If they wanted us to play out of the sand, they would put rakes there. So I'm just going by the rules.
Now, is that your philosophy, or is that what Ramstein actually says? That's what
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Well, at least you did get out today. It was a slow work day, but we did just come back from a long weekend.
We did.
And that was pretty good. So we need to tell you about this long weekend stuff, but before we do that, we have to acknowledge the passing of Charlie Daniels.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is. And, his politics has taken center stage over his music the last number of years.
Right.
But, he was the country star in the 80s, right before, late 70s, 80s, right before the new wave of country music came to be.
He's a brilliant musician. He played a number of instruments. Of course, he played the violin or the fiddle, as you were.
And that's where I learned it. We would play that
That's
album,
the only song he knows.
The Urban Cowboy album over and over and over at a friend's house.
He's probably
just
got a
that
bunch
song.
of other songs, but I mean... That's,
he has The South Will Rise Again, something like that.
I remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
My stepfather liked that song a lot, but that's typically my stepfather.
So, rest in peace, Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, so that's that. So we did go on a bit of a vacation this weekend. So we went on an ATV ride.
We did. And that was, it started off not what I was expecting. I thought, we're in ATVs. We were led by 4 actual ATVs, quads, if you will. And then you and I, with your family and me all by my lonesome. And what would you call it? They're UTVs, utility
right,
vehicles.
They're not golf carts. They're the four-wheel drive vehicles that you would use if you lived out in the country and you had to go out to a big partier thing. I don't know specifically what kind of utility vehicle they are, but they're not the open four-wheel vehicles, ATVs or whatever that they are, that need to, that are open. But they had 4 of those, and 4 people got those, and then the rest of us got the little
what were there? Were there like
rugged
8
golf carts?
8 golf carts on steroids?
Yeah, I think there were
7, 8.
7 or 8. Yeah, I think that's about right.
So I thought, we've got these 4-wheel drive vehicles, these off-road things.
Right.
We're going to be cruising through forests on trails.
I seriously expected to be muddy and like full of dust and like woo.
Not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend.
We stayed on the German roads, and it was so we're doing the speed limit.
And I kept thinking as we're going, okay, when are we going to get off road?
Right.
Okay, when are we going to get off road? And then about halfway there, I'm like, we're not going off road.
We're not. And did you know where we were going? Did you know what our destination was?
No, I didn't know the destination.
I did not either.
No.
So I'm there. It's kind of.
It was total mystery.
You're going to a place that you have no idea, so you don't know how long it's going to take. So you're just waiting for something to happen. But these things. The highest speed limit I saw was 70 kilometers an hour, which is about 35, 40 miles per hour. And these things had no problem doing that. So imagine there's no sides, some webbing, that we didn't bother to cinch or to latch.
Right.
And then we're just on the road, on a German road, going at 35, 40 or higher miles an hour.
I think what people, you probably understand the experience of this vehicle, maybe to an extent, but what you don't understand is that you can drive these vehicles on the road here. The only place you can't drive them on is highways.
Autobahn.
So you can take them everywhere but the highway, and that was kind of weird because now you're amongst all the Porsches and Audis and Opels and all these other cars, and you're blocking their way because you are only going like 60, 70 kilometers an hour. And it wasn't so bad, though. So
I nearly saw a motorcyclist become a hood ornament, which we'll talk about in a second.
Right.
But this guy, he was weaving in and out on our way back.
Right.
And he passed me, and I hit my brakes.
Yeah, I know the guy.
He pulled in right behind you. That's right.
Right.
So anyway, going there, we were doing this, going through villages. It's really cool going through the villages, German villages, and
we get to see all this countryside and villages we went.
Yeah, and it was funny to watch a car stop and let the first 4 quads through. And on the way down to our destination, I was right behind the 4 quads. Right. So I could see the driver's faces of a regular car when he would let he or she would let the first 4 quads through, and then look back and see the next 7 utility vehicles, and you could just see it in their face go, oh.
Yeah.
And you said you were waving at people as they stared at us.
I did. That was one of my favorite things. We would go by, and if you're going to look at me, at least acknowledge me as I go by. And it was usually like So you would go by, like if you were in the lead car, you would go by, and then I would go by and I would wave. But by about the third go-kart, they're like, "What the hell is going on?" Are we? And we passed one group of people, and I literally yelled out, "We're invading Liechtenstein!" And it worked. And they were like, "Oh my god!" So that worked out well. But yeah, most people had improbable looks, but usually it was after the third or fourth ATV because I would look back and they'd be kind of like, "Oh, there's what the." Wait a minute, and they'd be like, "Where are all these ATVs coming from?"
Yeah, it was fun. And so an hour and a half of this drive, and finally we get to a parking lot.
In Bernkastel Kues.
But we didn't know that.
Right.
We get there, and there's this parking lot, and people start...
Keith thinks he's been kidnapped to one of the CIA,
I didn't know.
High secret prisons in Poland or something.
I had no idea where we were. I didn't know which direction we started off to.
Right.
Because I don't know my way around, especially from Baumholder where we started. That's
I keep forgetting you're a Europe virgin.
Well, as far as an adult, yes.
As an adult,
driving, yes.
You can't be a virgin as a child. That's pedophilia, my friend. That's gross. That's why. Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Right, fair.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. So we end up. You can tell we're going uphill, switchbacks and that kind of thing, left, right, and by the way, turning these UTVs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, thank you. Was not great. There's no power steering.
No, Armstrong.
Yes, Armstrong steering, Pinnell steering, Tudor steering, whatever you want to say, and the tires on these things gripped. They weren't knobby tires like off-road tires. Supposedly they were street tires, but they gripped the road, and you would turn. If you had any speed at all, it would chirp, and then skip forward through the turn.
It was totally Mr. Squeakers. And so that was, it was a new vehicle. I was trying to get used to the turning radius and everything. My biggest fault, though, was when you would
scaring the shit out of your
turn,
life.
And then, like in a car, you could sort of let the wheel go and it'll slowly spin back. Well, I sort of forgot that a couple times. So this one time, because every time I drive a car, I think I'm a Formula One driver. So I get into the thing, and we're about a third of the way there. So I decide to cut one of the turns because I figure nobody's coming. Oh shit, there's a white Audi right there. So I have to kind of, not dangerous, but I had to sort of, move back to the right and then come back to the left to get kind of centered. But then as I started to center the steering wheel, so I almost killed my family by driving into an Audi. But then when I was trying to center the cart, I lost my grip and it zipped to the right. The cart suddenly goes to the guardrail, which would have plummeted us down a mountain and into the Mosel River.
We would have picked you up.
Dee Dee was not pleased about that.
No, she told me about that. You didn't tell me about this.
It happened.
Faux pas.
So that only happened once, where I almost drove into a car. But the slippage of the steering wheel thing, that happened a couple times. I had to really get used to that. It was tricky.
It happened to me too. So we end up in this parking lot. And everybody's getting out. Oh, okay. Well, we're following the crowd, and we go into this. Basically, it's a tree tunnel. It's shaded. The trees are overgrown.
Yeah.
Not overgrown, but form a tunnel blocking out the light. Where are we going?
Like an arboreal birth canal.
I would not have chosen those words, but that is entirely accurate.
All right.
Okay, except dry. Anyway, so we get down to the end of this. You're welcome for that. You get down towards the end of this, and bam! In the sunlight, there's this really well done stone castle, and it is Berg Landshut.
You just made it sound like it's in a housing development. It's very well done. It's like the model castle.
What I mean is, it's not your normal just half a wall, broken wall ruins.
No, it's in good shape.
It's in good shape. That's what I meant to say. So everybody stops right there and starts taking pictures.
Right.
Then we move another 20 feet, and that's when the real view came into view. Because not only do you have this castle in the sunlight, but if you look to your left, there's these incredible steep sloped vineyards that go down about 85 degrees right to a road, and then the Mosel River, and then on both sides of the river, connected by a bridge, is Bernkastel Kues.
Right.
I've got a story about that. Hang on.
All right.
So everybody's taking pictures, and then we go take pictures of the castle. We're there for about a half hour and get back. Or here comes the fun part, right? Oh, we'd have to go back to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I would have rather gone down the steep vineyards
Yeah, that was a steep hill to walk.
than walk back to the park. And we had to I literally took a knee.
I almost had to put Annabelle over my shoulder. I'm like, come on, just take a few more steps. You'll be there. Let's go.
Every time she stopped, I stopped with her to act like I was taking care of her, helping her out.
Yeah.
Come on, Annabelle. I was not ready for that. Finally, we got back up to the parking lot. So then we went down
to the town.
back down the switchbacks.
Right.
And we went through this tunnel that goes through the hill, the mountain, the small mountain, which was cool on the UTV.
Right.
And we hang a right, and the Mosel River, the historic Mosel River, is right on our left. And then we drive right through the heart of Bernkastel Coos. Go across the bridge, across the Mosel.
Right.
Didn't go one way.
It's a nice bridge, too. Very fashionable.
It's a great fashionable bridge through a little bit of the village.
Right.
Saw something on one of these large buildings that ended up being, as we got closer, a blow up. And I'm driving, so I just hold my phone out to the right and take a picture of it. And it's a blow up thing, but it looks like somebody looking into one of the apartment windows.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And then we find a place to park. They, the guides, the MWR guides, find us a place to park. Obviously, they do this every Saturday.
It's every Saturday. I think they probably do it.
It is in July and August. I checked.
Okay, cool. They really need to make that money back that they have been earning, right?
Yeah, right. And then we walk back to the bridge, which is about a 10-minute walk, and then across the bridge, and then you're in a straight out of the postcard. This, with all the hyphens, this is what I expect Germany to look like.
That's an inside joke.
Yes, it is. This is what I expect Germany to look like off a postcard town. And we found a nice little restaurant, De Salvatore.
Correct.
Yes.
You remembered.
I do, because that's the best, maybe the only, but the best tortellini I've ever had in my life.
Well, aside from the spaghetti that's cooked in my house, it was by far the best spaghetti I've ever had. It was pretty incredible. It was really well done.
No, the waiter was wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. We were separated, both at the table and by other tables. But I don't get it. It's a small, exactly what you think it is, of a European street, right. Shops and all that.
Right.
Fantastic look at, absolutely beautiful. And then we, after we ate, we made our way back to the vehicles and started back to Baumholder.
So going back was a bit more of a challenge than getting there because, one, we all wanted to get the fuck home. I think it was great and it was wonderful, but by about halfway through the trip, at least my family was, all right, let's get this over with. The ATV is noisy. The engine runs hot, and it's right behind you, so it's throwing all this heat at you. I'm sniffing the exhaust of either the open ATVs behind me, or if there was somebody in front of me. I think you were in front of me. Going. So I was sniffing his exhaust doing that.
Yeah, you were.
So there's all of that. Plus, there's just the fatigue of... it's my Amazon Echo reminder for my daughter to take her shower.
Oh.
Here's a reminder. Annabelle shower time.
There you go. Some insight into the Tudor home. So anyway, and plus you're fatigued from having to drive this thing around, right?
It beats the shit out of you.
And you're going through all these turns. You've got to, and you think, oh, well, it's just a drive. There's probably 30 or 35 different switchbacks on about 6 different roads. So you're doing U-turns almost for a third of the way part of the trip. And then the last part of the trip is all straight. Well, here comes the fun part of the last part of the trip. So we're at about the last third of the drive. I want to say we're in the last 15 miles of the drive. And all of a sudden, the motor, which you'll hear, goes... And I'm like, I know that sound because as a young 21-year-old, I too threw a transmission and I know what it sounds like. So the transmission was slipping.
I didn't hear that.
So, and a couple of other people reported it. And Dee Dee's looking at me like, what is this? And I said, it sounds like the transmission, because that's how you have to talk. It sounds like the transmission.
And they're 2 feet from each other.
You had to be loud. It was still fun, but I mean, you had to be loud.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when we left out of Bernkastel Coos, that drive, that beginning drive.
They did take us across the river again. That was nice.
Several times.
Yeah, so that was, I should have threw that in. So he was the part of our journey back, not for the ATVs, but for us, was that he sort of trapezed the Mosel along some bridges. So you got to see all this other wine country in between. And it's all lovely and pristine and beautiful and all the things you could think about, being in wine country. So that was a pretty cool part of the trip.
You had the vineyards going up at, like I said, at about an 8. Whoever is in charge or whoever does the harvesting of the grapes in those vineyards does not get paid enough.
You rock.
Wow! So you had the vineyards going up to your right. You had the sun shining off the Mosel to your left.
Right.
It was really cool.
So we are about 7 miles from our final destination, and the transmission, if I get it above 70, is just yipping it.
70 kilometers per hour,
70
which is about 40 miles per hour.
Right. So I'm just trying to push it as hard as I can, keep up with it. And the guy wants to get back. I think we were running a little late or something, but he's going BTW, and I thought, that's fine, I can do that. Made it back, not a problem, get off, and about 2 or 3 other people said the same thing we did. And he said, we think it's a sensor, but I don't know. I've heard enough transmissions, I've had 2, so I've heard 2 transmissions fail in my life, and they sort of start like that. And
wow.
It was good. So it was a good trip.
It was a great trip. And real quick, so I was telling my parents about it on Monday. They saw the pictures and all that.
Right.
And he said, my dad said, what was the name of that town? I said, Bernkastel. He goes, Bernkastel Coos? I said, yeah. He said, your mom and I have been there. Yeah. I said, what?
Yeah.
And why? I've never been there. How have I never been? Well, because your mom and I would go on wine runs for us and the other people in our office and neighbors and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So we left you at home or with neighbors or whatever it was. So we've been there a couple of times.
Something similar happened to me. I posted my photos on my timeline, and my friend Carissa Lee, retired Air Force, she wrote to say, hey, I grew up at Hahn. We used to be going that area all the time. So brings back a lot of memories for folks. You're listening to This Show Is a JK with Jason Tudor and Keith Pinnell. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget you can subscribe on iTunes. You can also pick us up on Spotify, on Google Play, and on Spreaker. Please tell a friend and review the show on iTunes. That helps us immensely, gets us in the algorithm, gets us out to farther reaches. You can also find us on Reddit. We're in the podcast thread there, and so on and so forth. So now I went canoeing the next day.
Right.
So the canoe trip was interesting because we essentially went back to the same place. We went back to near Bernkastel Coos, but the town that we started in was a town called Keston, which was about, I want to say it was about 7 kilometers, so about 5 miles from where we ultimately were going to get out, which was Bernkastel Coos, in the exact same parking lot, as a matter of fact. So very cool. We get to the place. They've got all the canoes ready, and they tell us, okay, you guys, here's the place where we're going to go in, take this map, drive out there. We're like, great. So we drive out. We're the first ones there. We're hanging out. And then all of a sudden, there was this assemblage of people, and some of the same people who were on our trip, very cool people. And so at this point, we were just waiting for the canoes. So we get our canoe, and it's giant canoe built in Maine. It's a canoe. Like if you see a picture of a canoe in a dictionary, it is that. 3 seats, the whole thing. Now, it had been a while since I last canoed. I think it was with Dee Dee. Yeah, it was with Dee Dee. It was in Augusta, Georgia. We canoed down a canal in the Savannah. We went kayaking in that, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that immensely. But it also reminded me that I have arthritis in a big way. So more on that in a second. So anyway, get the canoes out, put them down. They give us their little safety briefing. Here's what we're going to do. We're gonna put the canoe out. We're going to paddle upstream first so we can let all the other canoes get in the water, and then we're going to go. In my mind, I sensed the Mosel for some reason was like Colorado Rapids. Like, it was just, just the whole fucking way down. And I'm like, How are we going to paddle upstream? This is going to be nuts. So I'm looking at it, and then it also is kind of disappointing because I'm going, well, that means we're not going to move all that fast either. Shit. So that means I'm going to have to do more rowing. And that's exactly, well, anyway, so we put the canoe in, didn't manage to get in safely, paddle upstream a little bit. So we had to wait like 15 minutes while everybody goes in. And then we started. And it turns out I did a lot more paddling than I expected to go the 5 miles. I mean, a lot more than I expected. And the boat was floating, or what is it? Was it a boat?
Canoe, yeah.
It's not a ship.
No, it's a boat.
I guess it's a boat.
Yeah. It's a canoe.
It's a canoe. So the canoe is floating great. I remembered how to do all the canoeing things. But in order to keep up with the guide who's at the, so we're like second or third, but in order to keep up with even, because they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. It was like the fucking Olympic rowing team. I was like, where are you going? It's not a race. But they were, especially the guide, he had one of the 2-paddled oars, and he's like, I am going to get there fast. And he was just hauling ass. So I'm trying to going, okay, I guess I'll try to keep up with him. And then Dee Dee's helping out, and it was crazy. So,
well, the picture I saw, you guys were in front of everybody.
we were in front of everybody. So there was like that small pack of racers, and then literally us, and then there were 3 more behind us who were sort of us, and then the rest of the field. So, but anyway, it was nice because there wasn't anybody else around. And unfortunately, there was this one family, and they decided they wanted to play their music as loud as possible as they were canoeing alongside. And I'm like, really? How about you turn it off while we just canoe down the Mosel?
Yeah, how
Wouldn't
about
that
just
be-
enjoy it?
If you want to listen to AFN, listen in your car, right? So anyway, we make the trip down. We actually pulled in a little before Burncastle Coos, whatever. Pulled the boat out. Everything's fine. And it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. It was actually a pretty good row. I felt pretty good about it. Went into town, had lunch, did the town like Dee Dee wanted to, got in the car and came home. So that was the canoe trip was great. Went to the same place, but I just, hey, look, we're fortunate to live here, but to be able to go to that place whenever you want. It always reminds me, if you ever saw The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, there's a moment where the hobbits are stupidly outrunning orcs in this kind of weird pattern in the middle of a field. And Gandalf is looking around the rocks, and he looks around, and he spots a couple of rocks, and he goes, over here! And they go down to the rocks, and all of a sudden they appear in Rivendell. It just sort of magically appears. That's what the Mosel Valley reminds me of. Because when you get out of it and you're sort of heading back, when you look back, it's just gone. It's not there. So really the only way you sort of get introduced to it is when you're going on the interstate and you sort of come down and you go, oh, there it is. But when you take those back roads out, once you're sort of up the hill and out of those switchbacks, it's just gone.
Yeah.
You can't see it anymore.
I was, when we walked out of that, as you said, the Arboreal birth canal,
Get it right.
and saw how high we were above the river,
Right.
and the town below. It was amazing. It was startling.
It was cool.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I will go back there and toddle around and explore. But yeah, it was a fun trip, and I know you had fun the next day. I rested the next day, and
We rested when we came back. I think we got back around 3:30, so it wasn't so bad. I don't like. I'm a person. I don't know if any of our listeners are like this, how you manage your weekends, but I like to go like hell all weekend, long weekend, whatever. But I like to be done by about 3:30, 4 o'clock on Sunday.
so you start winding down.
We start winding down. I don't like to come in from a hellacious weekend at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and the only thing I can do is shower, get into some clothes, and go to bed.
Right.
So I don't. That's not cool to me.
I don't like to do that on a regular day.
No, I know, because we're old, and that's the way that goes.
Well, that's it.
So
Did you? One last thing. We talked about how you have to crank these wheels on these UTVs and all that. My poor car. When I got into my car, I'm cranking that steering wheel around, and I had to stop myself from crossing the center line. And
it was even worse.
Yeah.
So I went to sleep that night, and I fell asleep, and I woke up suddenly, I guess it was about a half hour later, because I thought I was still in the vehicle, and I looked over, and I expected Annabelle to be in bed with us right in the middle, because that's where she sat the whole time. And yeah, that was that, and so the car readjusted, because my car runs real smooth. It drives really nice.
It gave me an
and
appreciation.
I'm like, yank. It was crazy, but I got over that.
Yeah,
too,
I am much more appreciative of how smooth my car is now.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that was it was a fun weekend, fun 4th of July weekend. I saw 0 fireworks.
No, the only fireworks that I saw actually were the ones being fired illegally over Los Angeles. Which
I saw that video, yeah.
Yeah, but nothing here. It's highly illegal to shoot off fireworks unless it's authorized. They can shoot off fireworks on New Year's, and I think there's 1 or 2 other days, like Reunification Day or something. But other than that, you can get into big trouble for that. Again, there's a bigger stick here for those sorts of offenses than there is in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
On the other hand, even if there was a big stick in Los Angeles, how are you going to enforce everybody in the city shooting off fireworks?
I saw that video, and it's like every block has across the city.
Yeah.
And that's amazing I'm not cool
sure.
to look at.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I guess I should go back and read it. Why they actually didn't allow it, or maybe this law doesn't allow it at all. But the big thing that seemed to be the burden was firefighters responding to brush fires.
Sure.
And those kinds of things. But on the other hand, that's what firefighters do. They respond to fires. So that just, that's what we pay our tax dollars for. So I don't know. I was kind of in the pro of the protest in terms of firing off fireworks, because I was kind of like, okay, what harm can it do? But on the other hand, yeah, I mean, if you're taxing first responders, anyway, yeah, no fireworks.
Another thing I saw on my Facebook page with fireworks is A, dogs,
Okay.
and B, PTSD for veterans.
Oh yeah, that's a biggie. Yeah.
But it's allegedly one night a year, unless you count New Year's Eve. Now, of course, in Oklahoma, where there's fireworks stands every quarter of a mile,
right. I think South Carolina does fireworks.
and Texas,
I'm sure Georgia does.
So
Georgia does too. That's right.
it can get monotonous. It can get, especially on the days leading up to and after when you're trying to go to work, get some sleep to go to work, and
Right.
people are still lighting fireworks, fireworks.
Not even nice. It's scary. I mean, for people who have that as part of their mental illness profile, or that's something that affects them, it's tough. It's very trying. And my friend Kelsey was in the closet with her pet, trying to calm him, and I saw a few other examples of that. I completely understand. I like fireworks, but I also understand people who don't. That's kind of a new phenomenon over the last 10
Agreed.
15 years.
Yeah.
I totally get it, but I understand that too. What do you think about Mahomes' contract?
I just caught a little bit of that. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for the city.
Yeah.
And the team. I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited to see him make that commitment to that organization, to that city,
Right.
and to the team. And I'm glad the team did that as well. I mean, he won the Super Bowl in his second year,
Yeah.
so he's still got a lot of ball left to play, and the city's there. If and when the coaching changes, I think will be sooner rather than later. But so we'll see what happens then.
So there's a team that needs to change its name too, doesn't it? Along with the Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves,
The Redskins.
the Chicago Blackhawks, the Florida State Seminoles, who have always touted, I believe, that they have an endorsement from the Seminole tribe to do that, I think.
Wow.
But what do you think?
The Chiefs is not a quote unquote derogatory term. To me, a chief is a person of honor. It's the head. It's the head person in the tribe.
Yeah.
However, I can see where a case can be made for it.
Yeah.
I think the people of Kansas City are much more in tune with the feelings of the indigenous tribes than, say, the Redskins, or or as you said, the Blackhawks, or what have you.
Right.
So I would be a little bit surprised if the Hunts decide to change the name.
Right.
But
I think so. Here's something interesting too. So you talk about those three sports teams, and you know that the highest rank in the Air Force is
a Chief Master Sergeant,
right,
with the emblem of a chief in a big headdress.
Not on the uniform.
Not on the uniform.
But it is one of these sort of, as I understand it, one of those sort of things that you get when you become a chief. It has. I've seen various things in offices where it is like a Native American, male head, and there's some kind of, chief's, code or whatever. And so, even things like that, even if they pay respect to that, I mean, that's interesting to me that maybe, they do something or they don't do something about that. I'm of the opinion the teams need to change the names. I think we need to move on. I think that the Redskins, the Cleveland Indians have had Chief Wahoo forever. That is a hugely ugly caricature. But some of these other teams, the Blackhawks, the Chiefs, and others, I mean, I suppose they have decisions to make as to just how long they can play it out, as to if they're being respectful or it's not as bad. I mean, you can go on and on with this. and make a determination on which of these sports teams. Maybe none of them change. Maybe Daniel Snyder stands his ground and says, we will be the Washington Redskins, and that's that. It's always the Redskins that comes up at these inflection points. It's never the Indians, Chiefs, and Blackhawks, and whatever the others are. I mean, I think there's maybe one or two others. But it's always the Redskins because they're in D.C. Kansas City's out in the middle of nowhere. Activists don't seem to give a fuck, but it does matter for D.C., which is very strange to me. I just say, look, it's a merchandising thing. Okay, change the merchandise. Is it a marketing thing? Okay, change the marketing. I mean, just change. How hard is it? And if you don't change, again, for the others, like the Blackhawks and the Chiefs, I guess, I don't see, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not the arbiter of political correctness, and I don't want to be at all. But I think I saw one idea floated for the Redskins was like the Washington Warriors, which is fucking horrible.
Is that any different, really? I guess you could be a warrior
It's
in any...
well, that's the worst part about it. Well, I mean, you have the Golden State Warriors, but it's this horrible, generic, male-ish logo. I don't know, maybe somebody dreamed it up, but that's what's even worse to me is I hate teams with bland names. The Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a great marketing tool because it attracts both men and women in a lot of ways. Okay, I get that, but I like teams like Bullets.
Utah Jazz.
Teams that end in S. That's what I like. That's not true, but there just seems to be teams are being named for marketing purposes, which again, I suppose that's good. So maybe these teams who are named for these things can cash in on better marketing and do those kinds of things. I don't know. Anyway, Mahomes makes $1.60 per second now.
Wow.
Just so you know. That's a lot of dough.
If there's a season this year.
But the other thing about Mahomes' contract is, like any NFL contract, it is not really a contract. The guaranteed money is what we always hear about, right?
Right.
And that's been fought, especially over the last 5 to 7 years, because NFL contracts are notoriously loopholed. If they don't want to pay you, they'll just loophole you out. That's why so many athletes and agents are so strict about getting so much guaranteed money up front.
Right.
And because the rest of it's kind of conditional, and it's for bonuses too, which I get that. If you run for 1,000 yards, you get another
incentives, right?
Incentives, right? So that makes sense to me. But it'll be interesting to see. Football players. It is rare that the football player plays for more than 3.5 years. I think it was the lifespan. That doesn't mean he will or won't. But a contract for 10 years is an NFL contract in my mind. It really doesn't mean anything. So
yeah,
neither does the number. The number is incredible, but there was a funny Dak Prescott meme who said he wants a contract for 19 years and $1 billion. So I thought that was pretty typical Cowboys.
Nice.
It was a joke, but
I just I'm 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If I want a season or not. You have players.
So they've already canceled the preseason. So we're marching along. We killed Hall of Fame game. Now we've killed preseason.
Yep.
We're getting more and more and more and more cases in the United States. We're getting people going to COVID parties to get sick.
Idiots.
We're getting one woman who went to a COVID event and she's like, I'm going to try and get sick, and did and died. I don't know that we're going to have an NFL season. I'm not sure we're going to have any of these other seasons either. NASCAR seems to be going fine. Golf seems to be fine. But I don't know that the NFL isn't a very abusive contact sport where when you get that much violence, your immune system gets weakened. I mean, you can go on and on with this, but we'll see. I mean, the NFL is probably one of the most powerful entertainment entities in the country. And if it wants to play, it'll play.
Right.
Hockey seems like it's trying to play, but again, I'm interested. I love hockey. I love to see how the basketball tournament goes and baseball, how they're going to do it. But I don't know. I mean, nobody can go, so they're all going to have to watch it on TV, and it just won't be the same.
Well, the other thing is you have players saying, no, I'm not going to play this year.
Right.
Baseball has that.
More and
Hockey
more, actually.
has that. Mm-hmm. Basketball has that already. And so, football players obviously are a different breed, but I'll be disappointed if we don't have a football season.
Right.
But the more I think about it, the more as if you've listened to this show recently, you know how I feel about COVID-19 protection.
Don't rant.
I'm not ranting.
Don't rant.
My point is that I would understand it.
Don't rant.
I'm not ranting. Leave me alone. No, if there's no football season, I'll be disappointed, but I will understand it because it's for safety.
We should have like a fantasy COVID league, with like states and governors and things like that.
I saw a meme that said every state should enact a COVID-19, wear mask, whatever, COVID-19 restrictions. Those that don't should get absorbed by their neighboring states.
Nice. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
You're listening to This Show is a JK with Keith and Jason. Thanks for playing along and thanks for listening. Don't forget we're sponsored by Seven from the System. It is available on Amazon, $6.99 paperback, $4.99 for Kindle. And we're sponsored by AaronCustorer.com. Aaron's new song, Breathless, is now available on all major streaming platforms. And by Long John Comic at newlongjohncomic.com. You can also find Dan on Dan on Facebook. Just search for Long John Comic. It's really, really good stuff. And it's Western, but it's got these great supernatural elements. You will really like it.
Cool.
You have a quiz.
I do. Are we ready for a quiz? Is it quiz time?
It is quiz time.
Let's
do it. It's Americana.
Tuesday night. It's Americana. Just a little bit of potpourri kind of stuff.
Let me relax.
I try not to get anything just off the wall.
I am now relaxed.
Okay.
All right, hit me with the questions.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Question number 1. The inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Have you ever been there?
I've been there, yes. I took Annabelle up there.
The inscription on the Statue of Liberty says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to what?"
Be free?
Correct, sir.
Yeah, thought so.
I don't think I would have got that.
Yeah.
Trying to make a star. Can't make a star. All right. Good job.
Thank you.
Number 2.
Yeah.
True, false.
Okay.
Bugsy Siegel is credited with starting Las Vegas with the Flamingo Hotel.
True. Bugsy Siegel saw an opportunity that a lot of others didn't, and he basically created Las Vegas from the ground up.
You're pretty sure of that answer?
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. The Flamingo opened in 1946, and I think it cost a whopping $26 million at the time.
Right, and there was something to do with there were servicemen transitioning from Nellis and elsewhere, so it was an interesting juncture that the people going to Palm Springs, people going to California. So he had it right. It didn't work initially. The Warren Beatty film is pretty close.
Wow. That's one I haven't seen. My favorite Warren Beatty film is Heaven Can Wait.
It's a great film. It's one of my favorite films, actually. That is a great film.
I just like the football part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Went away and liver shake.
Little bit before our time.
All right.
Not much.
All right.
I have who came first. That leads to a whole different joke. Which came first?
All right.
Mr. Potato Head
Yeah.
or the hula hoop? I just want my hula hoop.
Okay. Let's see. I think hula hoop was mid-50s. I'm going to say Mr. Potato Head. I think that came sooner.
Mr. Potato Head always comes first. 1952 for that guy.
Puts a whole new spin on Toy Story. But
Yes.
Yeah.
1952 for Mr. Potato Head, and the hula hoop came out in 1958, but only got real famous in the early 60s.
Yes, I thought it came out in 55, but yeah, hula hoop was
Nice.
That's a weird one.
You're 3 for 3. Have you ever tried the hula hoop?
I have. I'm not good at. I have pretty good coordination and stuff, but I just,
I don't have hips.
it's one of those like I should not hula hoop. I does not look like something that belongs on Earth. So
Got it.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
Got it. All right. You are 3 for 3. Question number 4.
Okay.
What is the name of the statue that sits on top of the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C.? I don't think I knew there was a name for it.
I know there's a name for it. It is. Damn, I used to know this because there's a similar statue somewhere else. I don't remember.
The Statue of Freedom.
Really?
Yep.
That's it?
That's it.
That's not what I thought it was.
Freedom! That's right.
That's not what I thought it was. Whatever. All right.
All right, so you're 3 and 1.
God, we're bad at naming things. All right, go ahead.
We really are.
The Statue of Freedom.
What toy
Yeah.
was invented by the son of famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright?
What toy was invented by the son A famous architect. The Slinky.
No, and
Oh,
you're going to
shit.
kick yourself when you realize that it's Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs. That makes more sense. Yeah.
All right, now you're 3 and 2.
Lincoln Logs makes all the right sense. Frank Lloyd Wright was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was a curmudgeon, but I mean, I don't know. In almost every example of off the charts artistic genius, they've almost always been assholes. There's no other way to say that. So, I mean, what do you expect? All
They're
right.
inside their own heads. That's what it is.
Yeah,
All right.
which is fair. They create beautiful works for us.
Also, we have a bonus tonight.
Bonus!
What? Number 6.
Number 6.
Pennsylvania, true, false?
Okay. Ooh, a Pennsylvania question.
True, false?
My friend Sarah will be happy.
Pennsylvania was the first state to ratify the Constitution.
True or false? Pennsylvania was the first state to ratify the Constitution. False. I think it was Connecticut.
You were right on your answer, wrong on the state.
Okay, so I got it right, but what was the state?
Delaware.
Delaware. How did I not remember Delaware? Fuck. The credit card state. All credit card companies have safe haven in Delaware. They all set up there in Wilmington.
I did not know that.
Look at your credit card statement sometime and figure out where Discover and all these other credit cards are headquartered. In general, it would be Wilmington, Delaware.
Wow.
That's the one thing I think that Biden did well. Because he's been a politician for so long, I think he was the one who helped create that setup for credit card companies. Most credit companies.
He doesn't remember it, but anyway. Okay.
Delaware, whatever.
Okay. Question number 7. So you are 4 and 2. Question number 7.
You score weird.
You should know this answer.
Okay.
What was the first video played on MTV?
Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. The artist who created the Buggles is a guy named Trevor Horn, who went on to produce guys like Seal, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and a number of others. I think he also produced the 10cc record that has that song Cry on it. He's a brilliant producer. He has a great sound. Smart guy, real smart guy. But yeah, Video Killed the Radio Star. I don't remember who introduced it. It was Jackson, or not, J.J. Jackson, or if it was Nina Blackwood. I don't remember. Maybe it was Mark Goodman. I don't remember. Anyway, yeah.
Wow. Very good. Very good. I just saw on my Facebook feed an updated through Zoom version of I Melt With You. I'll Melt With You.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. I didn't watch it, though.
Yeah, it's God, they're all old, man.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Let's see. In 1965.
Ringo Starr just turned 80 today. Yes, they're all old.
Wow.
I know.
1965, Ralph Nader wrote a book
Yes.
that severely criticized the lack of safety in cars.
Yes.
He particularly singled out which model as his main example, and I'm going to give you a multiple choice.
Okay, good.
The Volkswagen Beetle.
Okay, no.
Is it Chevy? Corvair.
Yeah.
The Pinto
Yeah.
and the Chevrolet Corvette.
The Corvair.
You are correct.
Yeah.
I would have said Pinto.
Yeah, the Corvair. And that's sort of...
My
That's
dad
sort
had a
of
Corvair.
Nader, as I recall, that whole thing sort of created Consumer Reports, like
Oh,
the
wow.
whole sort of consumer advocacy industry. Now, I think I'm not sure when the Consumer Protection Agency came about, but that was Nadir. That was his moment, and then for whatever reason, he wants to run for president every once in a while. But it was a big deal. It was a good deal. But yeah, the Corvair. The Corvair had a rear engine.
Yes.
It was really dangerous. The Pinto, of course, had the rear gas tank that would explode if you tapped it, but not the Corvette. The Corvette's awesome. It's still in the
course.
parking lot, by the way.
And the Beetle is a Volkswagen. And whenever
As soon as you said it, I'm like, no, it's not a German car. He wouldn't fuck with Germany.
Yeah, my dad had a Corvair when I was very young, and I remember riding it, a red Corvair. And no kidding, right before I left Fort Sill, there was one just exactly like it, red color and all that in the lemon lot at Fort Sill. I told my dad he should come buy it.
I used to see a bunch of them when I was in California.
Oh, nice. So number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. Annie Oakley is said to
I
have...
love her sunglasses.
Annie Oakley is said to have been one great shot with a gun.
Yeah.
And to prove it, she is said to have shot the ashes off of a cigarette held in the mouth of whom?
Buffalo Bill.
No.
Ah, shit.
I'll give you another.
Custer?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll give you another.
Wyatt Earp.
No.
Judge
damn it.
Reinhold.
If you let me finish.
Not Judge Reinhold?
Not Judge Reinhold.
Go ahead.
It's either Tsar Nicholas II,
Okay.
Teddy Roosevelt,
Yeah.
or Kaiser Wilhelm the Tooth.
I think it was Tsar Nicholas II then.
No, it was Kaiser Wilhelm II.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I had no knowledge of that.
All right. Here is.
Not my field of expertise.
You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3. 6 yes, 6 right, 3 no. Here's the bonus.
Pass the class.
You did pass 70 and go.
All right. Give me the bonus.
Harry Houdini's real name is Eric Weiss. During World War I, Houdini used his talents to help America by training American troops to what?
Pick locks or something like that?
Something like that.
I knew this. We were just talking about it like 3 weeks ago because they had a Houdini special on AFN and it documented, a guy thought he was really strong and punched him in the stomach. And they said that bit, but I don't remember it specifically. It was something like picking locks or breaking into things or breaking out of things or something like, I don't know. What is it?
How to escape handcuffs.
Okay.
So
I knew it was something along those lines.
I'll give you a half point for that.
Yeah, all right. Houdini was a pretty amazing dude. He
really was.
He was the let's see, who would be the equivalent of Harry Houdini now? Not David Blaine.
Copperfield?
No, he's bigger than that. He's a bigger sort of.
Oh, well, yeah.
But I can't think of anybody like we value just celebrity over like people who can actually do things with now. I don't know. Anyway, he was pretty amazing cat.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that. Yeah, other than just their
I keep
fame.
thinking David Blaine, and I mean I know there are still great illusionists and magicians. I remember the show that we went and saw in Vegas. This was a while ago. This was like 2007 or 8. We saw it. I think it was at the Rio. No, it was at the Mirage. And they did a thing where the guy was amazing, and I don't know how the fuck they did it, but they put a curtain up, and then all of a sudden there was a fucking Learjet there, and I'm like, holy shit!
Chris.
No, it wasn't that
Angel.
guy.
That's who I was thinking.
Yeah, well, him, yeah. But you don't hear much about those guys anymore.
No.
Like those are big shows. Remember those are big shows in the aughts.
Doug Henning and
yeah, they'd have like they'd have a Chris Angel like Saturday show.
Yeah.
Where he'd turn the Statue of Liberty into a stack of donuts or something, and.
I like watching. One of my favorite shows is the audition rounds of America's Got Talent.
Okay.
And there's not a lot, but there's magicians on there. They're all. Most of them are, at least especially in the audition parts,
right.
are the close-up magicians. Mm-hmm. And you just go, how the hell? There's a trick in there somewhere, but damn if I can find it.
There was a good one on Reddit today of a kid. He's walking down the street and he was blowing bubbles. And then right in front of these 2 British police officers, he grabs the bubble and then turns it into a gold coin. And then he goes, huh, and he walks on. It's a really neat little illusion. And one of the cops was like, huh? Like, what the fuck? How did he do that?
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of magicians. I've never really. I mean, I'll dig on a great illusion because then I want to know how they did it. Like
right.
the Learjet thing still baffles me, and I went through it a million times. Like, all right, it had to already have been in place, and the stage had to already have been what it is, but. How did they move so quickly and, that sort of thing. That's pretty cool to me, but I've never just been like what's your card guy, or that's never really.
Yeah, card tricks.
I get the appeal, but it's not for me.
Card tricks don't do it, but yeah, the illusions, things like that, yeah. The guys, the people, I should say, who try to do the Houdini trick where he's upside down in a tank of water in a straitjacket and has to do all that. I know that, he always kisses his wife or his, and the key goes in the mouth and
right.
blah, blah, blah. And, he can dislocate his shoulder, whatever. I know there's tricks. It's how they get there, that makes me happy with the magic.
Right. Always follow the hands.
Always. Don't be distracted.
Right. Yeah, I know the Houdini thing, the David Copperfield, he made the Statue of Liberty disappear. Okay, that's a visual illusion. Got it, But, and again, I get the appeal of magic for people. It is, I really admire that sort of dexterity and talent in making it work. And that whole sort of mythos of, they don't pass on their tricks and you have to sort of learn it that way. That's pretty cool. So what are you doing tomorrow? Golfing again, are you?
Probably golfing.
Wow.
I don't know yet.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting you don't have to pay every time you go.
Yeah, just for a cart.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see what the weather's like. I don't want to be out there cold. I think the high is supposed to be 65, which to my friends in the
Really?
States.
Wow.
Yeah, to my friends in the States, they go, oh, I wish we could be 65.
Broiler.
Well, I wish we could be 85. So there.
I have not looked at a state's weather report in a while. I know it's supposed to be hot, but
I know it's hot in Oklahoma.
right. All right.
So what are you doing tomorrow?
Editing video, shooting video, going to a meeting, and working on the comic book issue 4. I'm finally starting to get. It's weird with this new comic trying to finish up the last comic. I've changed the story probably a dozen times. I've drawn and redrawn and deleted a lot of panels. I'm just really in a bad space with it. Not a bad space. I mean, I know where I'm going now, but I'm still sort of okay. I like this better than this, and I'm trying a lot of things out. So I draw it on my iPad and then bring it back and finish it up on my computer, and it looks great. I want to thank my friend Tom. He gave me some great tips and hints on what to do with this particular software I'm using. So
Cool.
Anything else?
I look forward to seeing. I've decided I can recommend Star Trek Discovery.
Oh yeah.
I started watching it. AFN played it, I think the first season, and I caught most of them. I thought, oh, this is somewhat interesting. Mm-hmm. And I realized or I discovered that the second season was on Netflix. So now I'm towards the end of the second season. I enjoy it. The second season brings Captain Pike into it because the Discovery is set before Shatner or Kirk takes over the Enterprise.
Right.
So Captain Pike, who we see in one episode of the original Star Trek series, Trouble with Tribbles, and I'm a Star Wars person, really.
No, it wasn't Trouble with
But
Tribbles.
that was the one he was in.
Pike?
I think so.
No, it was the open.
Or was that just the first one?
First one.
Anyway.
Broken into two parts, which there's a great South Park argument that it's, there are 70, I forget how many specific episodes of Star Trek. Sorry, fellow sci-fi nuts. But they say, I'll just give a number. There are 75 episodes, and the other one goes, no, there are not. The Pike episode was 2 episodes, so therefore there are 76. It's funny. It's funny stuff. So. Yeah, I know. I keep meaning to check that out, check Picard out, but the show that I've been sort of watching because I come home and I spend time with my family, and Annabelle watches it, is a show called Skin Wars. Have you heard of this?
No.
So we did watch RuPaul's Drag Race, which was pretty entertaining. Interesting insight to a culture that I didn't understand, but excuse me, also very entertaining. Skin Wars is about a similar sort of competition where people body paint, and they have a competition. So they will bracket the challenge and say, okay, Keith, here's this pair of shoes, and they'll be, sort of fancy heels or whatever they are, colors and all sorts. You have to do a body painting on a person that sort of goes with this. And at first I was like, it's body painting. It's face painting that you get at a birthday or whatever. But seeing the work that they do, I mean, these are real artists, and they do real art, and they do some really interesting things, and that's cool. But, in the bigger scheme of things, it's like, okay, I don't think this is the beginning of a career. Although, oddly enough, they can win $100,000, and that's a lot of money for body painting and doing clown faces at birthday parties. All right, folks, we are done. Thank you so much for joining us. That wraps up the show. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. I have no idea. I have a little something in my chest. Subscribe on iTunes, listen on Spotify, go to Google Play, and go to wherever else you can find podcasts. We will be there, including iHeartRadio and Radio.com now.
Oh, wow.
We just added those as outlets. You can find us there.
That's true?
That's very true.
Wow.
I added the outlets myself. They were brand new to the feed. That's what our $20 a month pays us for, so that's a good deal.
We will not be back for a week.
Right, so let's go over that real quick.
2 weeks.
You're going to get this podcast today, which you're downloading at about 3 p.m. Eastern. And then guess what? We've got a bonus podcast for you on Wednesday. And it's totally Keith and I exchanging insults about our golf game. Although Keith, he didn't really do as many as I did in terms of insults, but he finally picked up the pace on the insults toward the end of the show. So it works out pretty well. We think you'll enjoy it. And get some insight to our golf game. I really rail Keith. I don't think he heard a lot of what I said.
I did not.
He's going to be sitting listening to that podcast and be like, you motherfucker. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, you get that on Wednesday. And then we will do a regular Saturday live show. That will be on the 8, 9, 10, 11th?
I believe so, yes.
It is the 11th. I guess I have to count 7 from the 4th. And that'll be the usual hour with us on camera. Hopefully we'll get all the shit right this time. And then that'll be it for a week. So I'm going on vacation for a little while, so there'll be no Tuesday audio or Saturday show that week. So take a break and come back strong, and we will record a new show after that. Okay? Anything else?
That'll do it. It's been a great week, great weekend. I'm looking forward to another few days off and getting out and hitting the golf course and maybe doing a little bit more traveling.
Shout out. Oh, the bracket. So the bracket is now up, and the bracket this time around is video games. So this was a pretty difficult bracket, especially having to narrow it down to 12 video games. But we feel like there's 12 there that you can choose. I mean, video games have been a thing since the early 1990s. So it's hard to choose 12. And I did actually think about doing it like a 32 and then breaking each 16 and 16, but I didn't really map it out. So we've got 12. We'll do that. So go to challenge.com/ I believe it's video bracket. But anyway, go to challenge.com, search for Atomic Bazooka Studios, and you'll find our bracket there. We'll also post it on the Facebook page.
So are these... I joked with you on Monday, but it wasn't a joke.
Right.
If it's not Atari 2600 or was an arcade game in the 80s,
right,
I probably don't know it.
So that'll mean I'll be explaining a lot of video games to Keith on Saturday during the live show. Should make for entertaining television. Please join us. Thank you again for listening. Shout out to Darren, to Daniel, to Matt, and all the other listeners. John B., thanks so much for listening to us. Have a great one. See you later.
Good night, Connie.